All right, call this meeting to order. June 16th of the Historic Preservation Commission. Attending, we have all commissioners except for Alex. Not going to make it tonight.
No, unless we need a quorum, then I could maybe force him, but.
Nah.
You have a quorum.
We do have a quorum.
Is he all right?
Yeah, he's just anti-social today.
Oh.
Hit a rough day, but.
Oh. All right. Okay, if everyone has their agendas, the first item is the approval of the agenda. So if anyone has anything they would like to add for discussion tonight, let's go ahead and add that now. If everything looks good, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Christine, can we have copies of the agenda if we need copies? I just pulled it up on my phone.
It's for you?
Oh, okay. No, it's, oh.
Well, I left mine at home. I don't need it.
Well, I looked at it earlier.
I'll share it.
So, okay. I didn't want to, I did not check mine out either, so, but I got it on my phone, but then
I can pull it up on my phone.
I didn't want to make, a motion unethically. It's true, you need to see the agenda before you can move to it, approve the agenda, or vote on it, right?
That's why I wasn't doing it.
Are the people listening to us right now?
No. Yes, we are. Well, but your microphone is off, maybe not able to hear us. We'll just keep it on.
Do you guys have the resource book and everything else?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do that.
I don't have the one library, the other piece that was sent to us.
I do have this.
I was thinking we might be soon.
It's, if you print it up. I can.
I move to approve you already moved, am I seconding?
No, you are moving.
I'm moving to approve the
Do I hear a
agenda.
second?
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. So agenda is approved. Next is the approval of the minutes for last month. And you can vote on this time, Colleen. So if you need to take a minute to review the minutes, and then I'll also entertain a motion.
Okay, I move that we accept the minutes as written.
All right, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Approved unanimously. Okay, so for our action items this evening, the first is our tribe video project. Does anyone have an update on how things are going with that?
So I reached out to Andrew on the 9th, which is unusual for me to be so proactive. And I didn't hear back from him, so I, again on the 13th, said, do you have anything? And here's what I got back. Hello, Christina. I have an update you can share with the team. This has been a really great experience getting to know everybody involved and the passion they share for such a unique city. We are currently editing the interviews we shot and only need the Kings and Aslan and some drone shots of the historic district. We may do Stephen's house if we have a place we can fit it in the videos. We have so many great speaking points, this will be great.
All right, are there any questions or comments from commissioners? Awesome. I think we're on schedule and probably on budget. That's the important thing, and I appreciate all the effort the commissioners have done to set up the interviews and let people know that these guys will be coming to them and shooting footage in town, so awesome. We'll keep following their progress. Right, next, Century Building decals. As of last meeting, we had one resident request one. We were putting finishing touches on the design for certificate that we could also offer at the same time that we gave the decal. I think Colleen volunteered to help design. Any update on the certificates, the decals, any requests that we've had recently?
I failed to log into my email last month because I didn't realize I had the login information. So I can. I think that it might be with me, and I can get back by end of week now that I have it.
So I haven't had any more inquiries yet.
All right, so that brings up a discussion of promotion. Are there opportunities for us to promote this program? I know that probably the first response came because we did put it in the newsletter. So would we be able to run that in the newsletter, the next one?
I'm sure. I don't see why not. I don't have it drafted up yet, but I can make room for it.
Okay. So website, newsletter, something on the reader board that could.
Yeah, I could put it on the reader board. And I did make this board to put in the farmer's market booth when you guys go. So just explaining what it is, and we can have a couple of the decals there to show people. So hopefully we'll get some traffic off of the farmer's market.
Maybe we could put a blurb on the Millwood History Enthusiast site. Copy paste from the city.
Is there a way to? I mean, I'm sure that we know which ones are 100 years old or can get that information. Is there a way to direct mail those individuals?
Who have a home that's 100 years old? I probably don't have the capability to research that in direct mail. I could postage if that was put together by someone else.
So, so would the city cover the cost of like printing the direct mail?
Yes.
Okay. Is that, I mean, I feel like that could be a very easy and direct way of communicating with those owners.
Yeah, and don't we have a list of, at least we could start with from the comp plan? I just remember seeing in one of the plans that we reviewed.
Oh, yes, we do.
That there's a list of all the properties.
That contributed to the historic district.
And that might be the place to start, so it's just pulling that list.
I don't know, I can look at that really quick. I don't know if it says.
And it could be done as like kind of an invitation to apply to celebrate, as like to get on to this list. So it's a point of pride.
What am I looking for? Okay, let's see.
It wouldn't have been an inventory list, would it, Chris?
I know it wasn't the big, long, thick inventory lists were given, but it seemed like there was just, oh, she found it. And I can't even remember how many there were in that list, but say if,
It's manageable.
yeah.
There we go.
And it does for most of them have their, an idea about the year, so.
So we could have two versions, like those that are already 100 years old and ones that are approaching 100 years old. like just to keep in mind that you're, it's coming up, you're within a couple of years, so, when it comes around. So then they're gonna be like, well, I can't have it, I want it now, so it'll create anticipation.
All right, are there any volunteers to draft a letter that we could use for the direct mailing?
Do it and then get feedback from you all.
That would be awesome. And then Christine, if we'd have staff that'd be able to put this into an Excel spreadsheet to make labels?
Yes, I can have Lisa work on that.
Okay,
Just remember not to email directly to each other.
Right.
Everything needs to come through me. 'Cause
And
I'm
then
not-
and then I can volunteer to get like the print, setting it to print and getting it designed for print.
to make it look attractive and
Yes.
something that people would want to open
And
and,
to put the logo on there and the certificate, well, the direct
Design.
mail
Right.
piece, yeah.
perfect.
Okay,
Thank you, Annie, for volunteering to compose and Colleen to design and for staff, for Lisa to put the mailing labels together and then something we can do as an action item.
Right. So how can I get that list, or do I have that somewhere? Can you just email that?
yeah,
Okay,
I can.
great, thank you.
Any other ideas for promoting that, or if anybody at this table who lives in a 100-year home would just like to go ahead and request one, put one up in their window, and then maybe we could drive people to say, hey, walk by their house. What is that?
I have a year to go yet.
Yeah.
On the wait list.
I think we could do a little scenario at the farmer's market, and we could be like, no, Barbara, I'm sorry, you can't have yours for another year. And you did like, yes, see? And then.
I might not live another year.
Oh, good Lord.
Well, okay then. You're gonna
I'm an
play the
artifact
death card.
myself. What does Vicky have hers?
I saw some samples in the window, but I don't know if that's official. I'll have to look.
She's not requested one from me.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Well, that's one we could
Right.
show off then. And then Shireen's house is the oldest, it should have one.
Yeah. We should ask.
Yeah, so if you see her on the street, I did mention it to her at the litter pickup day, and she was hesitant to list her property on the local register, but she was very excited to maybe get the decal to put in her window and recognize it for a century, so.
Why is she hesitant to list, do you know?
I think they've just done all the work on their property that they will do, and so it's not, they don't need it for the tax incentive, and they're already part of the historic district, so.
Was this, yeah, the Youngs or not Rob?
Shireen.
Yeah, the young.
Yep. So again, a good reason that maybe we can come up with talking points that, yeah, even if that's all the case, wouldn't it be great to be on our local register?
Well, and to help bring up points that it helps strengthen the presence of the Millwood Historic District, and that it makes our register stronger. It's part of being part of the community.
Her duty.
But I think it does go back to our discussion last month with the mayor too, is that there is this stick to the Preservation Commission that if I'm on the local register, then I've got to do everything according to all these rules, and I don't want that. So it's, again, working through education and the positive things that we can do to help change some of those perceptions of what we are and what we do.
Maybe that needs to be like a campaign, is like, what we're not, like being on the register is not gonna make you do this. It's not gonna make you do this, and kind of like do like a myth busting like little campaign.
Yeah, myth busting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There are some There are some historic preservation commissions that are pretty hardcore, and we're so easy, you know. There are some, so I know where that came from. That especially back east, some communities back east, they're very vigilant, you know, to use the calm word. But yeah, we're not like that. So myth busting would be good.
Yeah, and it definitely started with the FAQs that we developed and have on the website, but it's driving people to look at those and, yeah, getting the discussion going. And I think our next topic is farmers market, which we will be having a table for next month's meeting. So the meeting would be moved from the Thursday to the Wednesday before. I am not going to be here. I'm out of the country,
On a barge.
but on a barge and a bike. So, but I think it is a great opportunity for us to, yeah, meet the residents and address some of the questions that they have and generate enthusiasm for what we're doing.
I think that also just being out more in the community, where up till now we've just been doing so much groundwork that's done in the in here, where I think just there's probably a lot of people who aren't aware of you guys, and so I think getting out into the community more, and I think that'll help, hopefully.
So that will be July 20th?
No, well, it could be. Listen, I'll do it whenever you want to do it. The Planning Commission will be there the 22nd of June, the 27th of July, and the 24th of August. If you all would rather do them different Wednesdays than that, we can do that too. It doesn't bother me one way or the other. I do want to talk just a little bit though about it. So I like to have stuff to hang out or to hand out. So I got these fridge magnets made that you can take one and everyone take one.
Okay.
They just have the phone numbers, like the most requested phone numbers that we get here at City Hall. So that's something that we'll be handing out. And then I think I may have talked to you about this. This is our first one. It's not bound yet, but I put this together for kids. So I worked with a gal off Etsy to make some coloring pages of different.
Great idea.
This is like almost there.
There's a word search, tower,
Take two of those.
playground, our farmers market bags, which I have some of those left to hand out this year. I have a streets in Millwood crossword,
Oh my gosh.
Oh, fun.
trail photo,
Oh, nice.
more farmers market, a decode the message, and it's all Millwood businesses,
Oh,
Christmas tree lighting,
Perfect.
Dalton,
oh.
and this one is my favorite. It turned out so good, the corner door sign.
Oh.
I love that one. And I emailed this to Bobby months ago and she never commented on it. I keep meaning to ask her what she thought about it. And then I just have a couple pages with the answer keys for all the puzzles. So we bought a little binding machine, and so Lisa's gonna put these together, and then we got some boxes of crayons to hand out these. So we've got the bags, the magnets, the books, we've got those lapel pins. I ordered today a couple, so I told you, this is probably staff report stuff, but I told you at the last meeting that I was gonna get some photos from the museum. That didn't happen, but I did order some from the Spokesman Review and the State Archives. And so today I ordered a handful of those blown up on the foam board, so you can have them in kind of some on the table in the booth. I got a bunch of new easels, So listen, my credit card, there's been smoke coming off of it. Paul came up and he's like, I wish my wife had had a job where she could have done most of her shopping for work. So my office is just overflowing with stuff, but, so I'll have plenty of stuff that we should have plenty to entice people into the booth.
Right, so the question would be, do we want to have it that third week, our usual meeting, or do we want to have it the next week with other commissions and councils present? And I guess if we do have planning commission and staff, do you have enough tables? Do you have enough
Told you.
canopies?
My credit card, I'm going crazy. So I have a regular 10 by 10 tent for you guys like we had last year. I bought a new 8-foot table and a tablecloth, and then I made a tablecloth thing. I can show that to you after the meeting. And then I bought a 10 by 20 for them because they're gonna have the park plan, so they're gonna have lots of boards. So they have a little larger tent, they've got some tables. So the only thing I don't have that I think would be difficult for me to provide would be chairs. So a couple of you may wanna bring chairs, because it is a couple of hours and you might wanna sit down at some point, but.
It might be wise for us to be there the same time as the planning, if they're gonna be talking about the park and the pool update, to kind of be there as like, we're here to preserve the park history and talk you through the emotional, realization of, so there might be some strategy in that.
Like
As
I
far as
said, it
education and
doesn't,
outreach, but I don't have a preference. I'm available whenever.
I've been going back and forth on it, thinking that's a lot of information the planning commission will be sharing. And that maybe us there too would be more like overload. Maybe if we were at the next farmer's market, the same place, they're already used to seeing something going on there that's interesting.
And they're gonna be there what day in July?
they're going next week, they're going July 27th and August 24th, and then also it'll be in Millwood days. Oh, staff report again. I did reach out to Shireen to make sure that she understood our needs for Millwood days as far as electricity. And she suggested maybe that we set up near the corner door, but I know the enthusiasts usually set up there. I don't know if I don't really know what she's thinking, and I haven't talked to her yet about it, but that's kind of where preliminarily it sounds like maybe.
Yeah, they're in the backyard. And then the car show's gonna be there too, do you think? By the corner door,
Was
the
last
car
year?
show?
Yeah, I think so.
Which that's not bad, because it brings traffic over there.
She said something about the church doing construction. I don't know if she meant on the presbytery building. So she didn't know if we'd be able to use their electricity, but that might. The first year I did it, we were down in front of the presbytery, and I really liked that location, kind of in the center towards the stage. But something to maybe talk about when you.
My thought was, might be overkill, but what if we did both the 20th and the 27th? Because are you gonna be back the 27th? I'm trying to rope you in.
Right, I would be back the 27th, so
So-
if that's an incentive for us to move it to that week,
Yeah.
or do it both.
Well, I thought both because, repetition is what makes people aware that you exist. So if we had them 2 weeks back to back, which is the farmer's market in the park, I mean, it's not like it's rough duty.
Right.
So I would propose the 20th and the 27th, just to increase our awareness. I mean, I think, because we do have that, that as one of our objectives to increase awareness that we exist. So being right there next to them, it's just kind of, and then if we do it twice, and then again the next month, I think it'd be better than nothing. It would be consistent.
Would commissioners like Alex be able to help and work? It's 3 to 7, so that is a 4-hour commitment.
Yeah, I think it would be a loose, there'd be a park nearby, kids playing, so it'd be maybe a rotation of us, but yeah, we'd be there.
Okay, and I don't think all 5 of you need to be there the whole time. So maybe you get a couple to do the 3 to 5-ish and,
And
yeah.
August 3rd,
Oh, this is, one, oh, these plus August, and then August
so
3rd.
20th, 27th of July.
Yeah. And August 3rd.
Oh, I thought that's what you said.
Or do you want to take a week or 2 off and then come back
Yeah.
later in August?
Yes, later in August.
Okay,
So 20th, 27th, and then August,
question mark.
question mark, yes, question.
Okay.
Hope I don't regret.
Future self always has to.
You know, I have to say, when we did it last year, it was so pleasant, and people just came up to us and started talking about my grandma lived in that house, or, you know, my ex-girlfriend lived in that house, or what, you know, it was just, and people love to talk and be heard. So I think that's another great reason to be there.
Awesome. Well, we have those 2 days then, so Christina can post our meetings. So that's official. Should probably decide, maybe email before then, who's going to work what shifts. So
Does anybody have any specific request for early or late?
Yeah, I would, well, maybe I want to skip out of work. That should, middle shift.
I'll just put you down for late.
We'll be in the park.
yeah, probably 5 to 7 for me.
All right, so you 2 are on the early shift.
Sure, that's fine.
Well, it's exciting that we're going to have the photographs and the sign, and we'll have the decals there to show, and just a lot of show and tell.
And I have still a stack of those brochures that you guys had.
Yes.
The green,
Trifold.
yes. So I will bring those as well.
Yeah, those are always popular. Awesome. So any other comments about the farmer's market? I would just say that it's good to do it there with other commission and stuff as well, just for us to have face-to-face time with those other groups. So, but yeah, to your point, with the pool, I think the importance of just recording its history and, yeah. Next on the agenda is just to talk about our design guide or the green book. Last month, we talked about how it's probably a little bit cumbersome. It's a little un-user-friendly. How can we update its look, its design, and break it into maybe smaller bite-size, more educational pieces? So I don't know if anyone's had a chance to start perusing it, coming up with ideas.
Well, Barbara was saying this is a revised version as far as content, right? Because we did work on it a while ago,
Yeah.
as far as what was in it, so.
From this one, we revised to this. But I noticed an error right on under the introduction on the 3rd page in. The paragraph near the bottom that starts with building permits are required. It says, for any alterations to the exterior or interior, and we've been professing that we're staying out of the business of the interior. So that needs to be deleted.
When I read through it also prior to our last meeting, there's some, and I can't tell you specifically, but there's some permitting information in there that just isn't correct. It refers to building review being done by the city of Millwood. It had some stuff, so I'll have to go back through it and just mark up the things that just aren't really what happens so that we can correct those in some fashion.
And I know my vision is getting creepier as the days go on, but it just seems like it needs to be retyped in a better, friendlier font.
Yes.
Okay, It's not just me then.
And finding better illustrations that are,
Yeah.
Oh, and the three-story Victorian mansion on whatever page that is, unnumbered page, I think 4. We kept it because it does have a lot of information. It's not really typical of mid-century modern, or anything in Millwood. So another illustration, like maybe keep it, but, because it shows like, dish antenna's bad, chimney's good, so maybe have something that's more typical of a Millwood house. So Christina, you'd want to go through it first and mark those, let us know those.
Yeah, I can do that.
in my perception, again, thinking of how we could break it up into something that's just more approachable by residents, would be to maybe even just use the chapters that are there and then break them into individual, whether it's a brochure or a handout or a page on the website, so that you're talking about what you need to know about permitting. Then let's get into porches and doors, and let's talk about windows, and let's talk about roof lines.
Yes.
And then have information, and if we do it on the website, there's even links to some of the videos that Michelle is developing through the archaeology department. But this would be a very big project, very time consuming. I was also thinking that the mayor was very generous in suggesting that there might be funding. And could we go to city council and ask for funding that would contract with someone that could rewrite and redesign?
Let's circle back to that during the staff report.
Okay. If not, then we would be able just to take sections maybe and put together work meetings where we just go through it and do what we can.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
So do we want to say maybe, I know we're meeting at the farmer's market next time. That will be a regular meeting, right?
It'll be a special meeting, but it'll count as your meeting. So what about the idea of, before that, I go through it and mark up the things that are incorrect as far as processes and whatnot, make copies of it for everyone, and then I'll distribute it at that farmer's market meeting. How about that?
Okay.
With my edits in it, and then we can go from there.
And then maybe at the August farmer's market, we can come back with any of our marked up versions of that one.
Okay.
There are things about mid-century modern homes that are kind of unique too, like the uneven roof line, and then the door, window, that are kind of typical. So that might be worth including, things that are from the 20s or the 50s or whatever, to make it more specific to us. Yes.
That's what I have. Like what I think of when I think of it is like shingle. And then all the shingles got covered.
Sorry, I'm getting pictures of x-rays.
Hairline?
Growth plate fracture.
Is it a new place on his body?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not broken it before.
Well, he does, you know, different, very.
He's very skilled at that.
Gosh. Well, the good news is that we are running right through this agenda, so we will have you out of here to go
Yeah.
check on him quickly.
That's good.
But no, great. So Christina will get a draft to us with her markups for July meeting. We will have that copy. We'll have a month for August to make our comments, and then we'll discuss further where we go from there.
Okay.
I just want to ask, Colleen, so just looking at this from a graphic design point of view, what would you suggest as far as like the font and the accessibility of it?
Yeah, my background is in news design, like my way background, so I'm very passionate about typesetting appropriately for ease of reading for all ages. So yeah, you'd want to choose like a serif font, which is the ones with the little like feet on them. You'd want to increase the leading, the space between the lines. But more than anything, I think it's about getting, when you're laying out something like this, it's about having entry points, because you know some people may be drawn in by the photos and some may be just drawn in by the content, but it's really about creating like multiple points of entry. So you know, having a little like tip box, like, or did you know, or more info on permitting here. So kind of building in, you know. So I would. I would love to, if we choose to go with outside resources, if that's an option that I would love to kind of help guide or make sure that we are getting great quality design, because I think visual communication is very important in this, because it's like we only have them for 10 seconds, so let's try to get them while we can. And then having this as a resource and a backup to make sure that they can go as deep as they want. But yeah, I think like I was personally drawn in by the illustrations and the photos. I love your idea about having like a mid-century style house, just to make it very like Millwood centric. And if we're not able to get resources, I do know that one of our council members happens to be a talented artist. Or a hand drawing artist. So something like a custom illustration of a specific house could be within like the realm. And then also my sister is in architecture school right now, so if she gets to practice some architecture drawings, maybe we can have her as an intern or something. But yeah, I love those ideas, and I would love to guide, or maybe we even have a working session and come up with some template ideas that we could then pass off. So yeah.
Cool.
Great.
Yeah.
So any other comments about our action items that we've gone through on the agenda? Hearing none. Staff report. Is there anything left to report?
There is. So I have a few things. First of all, I want to acknowledge Chris and Annie and Jack on behalf of Barbara for showing up to our cleanup day. This board was really the only one who really showed up for me. So I appreciate you all coming out for that. We collected about 20 bags of garbage throughout the community. So I think it was a success, and so thank you for that. I'm going to say this, you're going to think I'm joking, but I'm really not. Biggest accomplishment of my career. Tuesday night, the City Council adopted the new zoning code that we have been working on with the Planning Commission for 4.5 years. It's the biggest thing I've ever undertaken. It was the biggest change that we realized we were able to decrease the size of the code by about 1/3 by just removing repetitive information and condensing information into tables. So we have a new zoning code. It doesn't really, there's not a historic preservation chapter. It doesn't really affect you guys, but just know that we do have a new code and that it was adopted. Thank you. It was a big deal. Logo, I think I talked to you guys last time about my desire to do some rebranding for the city, and I had floated that idea, and it went over like a lead balloon with staff. But Councilmember Kohler got a hold of it, and he felt strongly enough about it to bring it up at council. He sits on the County Solid Waste Advisory Council, and he emailed me after the meeting a logo from another board. It's essentially our logo with 3 trees instead of 1. And he said, I mean, I was shocked. The river and everything is identical. And so he raised the issue at council on Tuesday, and they agreed. And so we've issued a request for proposals for a graphic design firm to come in and do a new logo and some branding sort of work. The deadline for those those proposals is, I think, July 22nd. So my hope is, as I spoke about last time, to get maybe some templates for handouts and brochures and stuff that will all have a cohesive look, color scheme and that sort of thing that we can drop in our information to. The other thing, so, you know, the mayor is very technically adept, and he talks about SVGs and PNGs. I don't know any of that. But he talked about the fact that this logo that we have is very awkward to work with. You can't take the pieces apart, you can't add to it. And so what I'm hoping to get is some sort of logo that we can interchange out, so you guys can have one that says, you know, it might be the same logo, but with historic preservation, or I'd like to get something that's a little bit more flexible. So that will be happening. And so probably any publishing of any work that we are doing for the next 6 months or so, we'll just kind of wait till we get all of that done. Oh, what? Oh, yes, check your email. So the July council meeting is the budget amendment council meeting, and Debbie, the finance director, came to me and asked me to insert line items for both this commission and planning commission, so that y'all will have an actual budget with some dedicated funds. And it was left to my discretion to decide how much money I thought that we needed. Now, hiring, if we did want to go with a separate consultant from the branding person, that would be a budget item I could put in at the end of the year. To get like a consultant, a bigger amount of money. But I just did want you to know that that has come up at times, whether or not we had money and did we need to go ask. So I started out with just 1,000 was what I requested for this commission just for the rest of the year. So if we need to pay for postage or copying or anything like that, you guys will have some dedicated funds. And then as we move forward, if we find that we need more than that in future years, then I can adjust that as we go forward. So, and then the pool came up, so I'll just tell you, the pool was supposed to open on Monday, this coming, and we've been advertising for pool attendance for weeks and have not got one application. In Paul's 40 years here, he's never not had any application. The workaround that was established officially yesterday was to drop the age of eligibility for the lifeguard to 15. And now your lifeguard is in the ER with a broken fracture plate. This won't prevent him from doing that. My son is going to, along with Debbie's daughter, they are both studying right now their Red Cross certifications, and they'll meet with Paul on Tuesday. But it's something to keep in mind when we get into the park planning process, that we may need to think about, do we want a pool that's closed because we can't find lifeguards? Or do we want to think more about a splash pad type facility that doesn't require that? So as you think about that project and have those discussions, it was our desire to keep a pool because we did feel it was so quintessentially Millwood. But if it's just gonna sit vacant because we can't, the pay is $16.50 an hour. I had a gentleman stand at the counter today and just for 20 minutes not being able to believe that kids don't want a job sitting in the sun for $16 an hour. So
You can't see your phone in the sun.
that's true. Well,
And I also wonder, like, too, with COVID, because I know that they've been having a lifeguard shortage, like, cancel everything. So I wonder if, like, the 2 years, like, not training lifeguards has now created, like,
Yeah, sure.
a lifeguard deficiency.
Oh,
yeah, I don't know. Braden is thrilled to do it. And Mom is thrilled now too because he's clearly not going to be doing football this summer.
Yeah.
Less tackling injury when you're sitting up 3 inches of water.
I said, right. Debbie said, should we let him around where it could be slippery? I said, his casts are waterproof. I don't care how many he has. So anyway, so we did manage, we are going to manage to get it open this year, but just something to think about when we're talking about the park. And
And then is the pool gonna be under construction, or what's going on with the pool?
so no, so they the weather's been hampering us too. They just finished the coat of paint that they needed on it, the non-slip paint, and Paul said that's going to need a little time to cure as well. So Paul's plan right now is to sit down with Mia and Braden on Tuesday and bring them up to speed on what they need to know. There's, they have to test the chemicals and some stuff as part of the job. So then I don't know if it'll go till the week after to open or if he'll throw them right out there. I don't know. But all that needed to be done right now was just a coat of paint because it's been sitting there for 2 years through COVID. So they did get that done, and so it will be opening up. And that's it, unless you have questions.
Is there an update on trail signage? Should I bring that topic up?
So the mayor spoke with me about the trail signage today. He's asked Bobby verbally for the photos as a separate item from the actual sign and has not gotten that yet. And so he said that he would be coming to their booth in the farmer's market to talk to her about it next week. So that's where it is right now. Is he wanted the components separately, and she provided them in a fashion that I'm not able to figure out how to separate them. So
All right, thank you very much. And are there any remarks from commission?
yes.
Barbara?
You mentioned before the meeting, Christina, or at the beginning, that you've gotten some pictures. And I want you to be sure to contact us because my grandfather's picture collection is part of what we've collected in the Millwood History Enthusiasts. So there's quite a bit there.
Okay.
And Vicki has done a nice job of organizing them. So if there's something in particular we're looking for, check with us first because we wouldn't have to pay money.
okay, so I will show you after this meeting. So let me briefly give you a more comprehensive update. I went down in maybe March to the Spokane Valley Heritage Museum and asked to speak with someone. And the director, her name is Jane, came out and spoke with me, very nice woman. She kind of showed me a few things that they had, a few photos I hadn't seen before, but she's super enthusiastic and I got really overwhelmed really quickly. And, you know, she was asking about, was I thinking about doing the schools or the businesses, and I just wanted a couple cool photos was all I was looking for. So anyway, I told her that I didn't have a lot of room and I invited her to come down here and look at the space with me. We set an appointment. She called me the day of and canceled, and then called back and set another appointment, called and canceled. And then on the day of our last meeting, she set another appointment and called and said she'd been in an accident on her way here, and I haven't heard from her again. So I did, like I said, I purchased some from the state, and I have those that I can show you. And then I purchased a couple from the Spokesman, which are being FedExed from Kansas. How that works, I don't know. So I'll show you those. One, and then I can also show you after the meeting too as well, my plan for the historic register and what I'm gonna display. I emailed Vicki Nacarado today and asked if she had a nice picture of the front of the Rosebush house. I have a really great picture of the garage, but not a good one of the house. And so I don't know if maybe, that's what I'm in search of right now, is a really good Rosebush house photo. So if in your collection that group has a good picture, that would be helpful to me right now. But I'll show you what I have, and then we can kind of see. That room really isn't very big, but we can look at them after the meeting.
Also, when Safeway was Albertsons, they had on display historic pictures of this area. And I'm wondering if those are sitting someplace gathering desks, because they were large pictures.
Grocery stores do that. Yeah, Yost has, like, up and up, they have
Yost has.
yeah. If that might be
Well, Safeway and Albertsons is the same company now.
so, yeah, they might have like an in-house marketing, team that has like a stock room of props, basically.
We can call over there. I'll call over there and ask them.
Oh, wonderful.
Demand them.
They might at least know where to trace to
Where
go,
they
yeah.
are, yeah.
That's a really good point.
We could take them off their hands.
I have some remarks. Could we get some feedback about, like, if we're able to put money behind social ads, like ads on Facebook, so that we can maybe post those videos, or
I did not ask that, but I will.
Okay.
I'll make another note.
and then, because if we're able to do that, it would be super cool to have a campaign where we have these old photographs and take, like, the nowadays photograph from the same angle, and do a Millwood version of that. I think, like, maybe, and I love getting youth involved, so maybe in the fall we can work with the high school and get, like, a TikTok account that that they produce little, like, documentaries about the history of their town and things like that, little 60-second docs. I like looking for ways to get kids involved, the youth involved, and usually they're more savvy about, and especially with, like, historic things, because I think to give them pride about where they live in, and to create, like, future interest, and to preservation is about, like, passing the torch and getting those younger ones, like, involved. So
Well, Instagram would be good for that too, because it's mostly photos, right?
yeah, Instagram is a little out.
Is it really? I thought Facebook was out.
Oh, Facebook is way out. Yeah, Instagram is a little bit out. It's like, it's
But
it's
for
cool.
old people.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Who's really catching up?
Old people like us, old millennials. Yeah, exactly. I don't have TikTok, but I know. Yeah.
Do you have to dance your presentation?
No, TikTok, I mean, it's just Instagram is photo, and then TikTok is more video heavy, but it's, like, not highly produced video. It's like phone video.
What's the one where it disappears after like
Snapchat. That one like peaked and that it was a quick flash in the pan. It was like MySpace for my generation. Okay, and then I know that like obviously so two things. Okay, so has there been any conversations about putting up like signs to denote like this is the historic district of Millwood, like you're walking around, like the Millwood Interurban Trail. I love those signs. It tells me I'm on the Millwood Interurban Trail, and I'm like, and now I get to be on Facebook, because I'm old, so I get to tag myself. I'm at the Interurban Trail. But has there been any conversations about? Because I know other historic districts will sometimes have signs like entering Millwood Historic District or.
I've never heard that conversation. I don't know if it was had before I got here.
I know, okay, so now that we have a budget, maybe we should have a budget meeting.
Definitely budget, but then coincide with the rebranding so that we would have the new logo, but it would, yeah.
And maybe it could be part of like a planning kind of thing where they have like signs up to denote, like walk.
Use our new design.
I'm just trying to link it to somebody else's budget.
Actually,
it's signs on the street. It's the planning group.
I think, yeah, because it's public works and you're not going to get much traction with them. They're a bunch of boys. Actually, that might be interesting. I like that idea. And the other thing that I didn't mention in my comments was the little idea we kicked around about maybe next summer doing some sort of historic event at the beginning of the summer season. Maybe that would be a good time to unveil those.
Yeah.
And that would give me plenty of time to, well, listen, here's what happens. I come to the mayor with an idea. He tells me immediately, go forward. Then I go to Paul, and then comes the work and the weekly reminders. So Paul announced his retirement at council after 38 and a half years. So he'll be here till March, but he got really emotional about it in the meeting. So yeah, he's an institution here. So I'll get working on him about some signs. I'm sure he'll appreciate that.
Yeah.
But let's, May, Historic Preservation Month, if we could work towards that, is having maybe signage
Several
up
things.
and maybe a walking tour and, okay.
And then there was a hole that was dug in the park, and we noticed that there's some little mini artifacts have unearthed themselves, and it was like there was a pipe in the ground. I think they just dug the pipe and refilled the pipe. My kids were playing in the hole, not in the hole. It was filled on top of the hole. The dirt, that was the hole. The backfill, thank you. So it could be cool if there's a situation where there's gonna be I don't need to involve like all the archaeologists and get all these people involved or anything like that. But it could be cool to have like maybe yeah, like a little some sort of figure out how to do this in a way where like the kids can go through the backfill dirt and find little artifacts. Alex has found like pieces of glass, old bottles and china.
Pieces of glass.
Yeah.
Great, yeah.
Problematic.
Great.
Right.
But it could be an interesting way to kind of like utilize our resources that are literally we're unearthing to get to help educate about. And then I also wanted to bring up railroad. So I know obviously like historic preservation, like focusing on buildings but I think celebrating the history of the railroad and the mill and figuring out ways to bring those like into our booth or into the historic history days, ways to celebrate like the history of these things within Millwood since they're such historical beings.
Well, I I know it'll be on one of the signs, because I wrote the verbiage for it, and it was
was
cool,
like-
it was Woodward Station,
Yeah,
right?
and then they wanted it, and then the mill, they didn't want, so then Wood Mill, yeah, Millwood.
Right, and you used to be able to take the train from here to Coeur d'Alene Park, so that, I mean, that, eventually there will be an acknowledgement of the trains, but that's a good idea.
Alex wasn't here, so I told him I would bring up his 2 points, so.
Which two were his? Oh.
No, the railroad is great because it should be seen as a historical aspect of our
Yes.
community and not a pain in the
Yes,
rear
exactly.
end for having to
Yes.
stop it for all the
Yes.
time.
And,
History in motion here.
do we ever do like over the roadway banners?
We've never done that. I
Cause
haven't gone.
we do that in Sammamish, they love themselves some over, and like you're stopped there anyway. You
So
gotta wait.
I actually floated that idea a couple of years ago to Paul. And I was hoping with the Argonne widening project, we will be putting in street lighting on this side of Argonne. And I'm pretty sure if I asked, the Masonic Temple would allow me to attach to their building too. So yeah, it is on my radar. There's something very small town about that to me that I really love. So yeah, I would like to do that, but it'll go along with the road widening because right now there's nothing on this east side of the road to attach to, so.
That's all. I'm done.
What is the time frame for the road work?
Hopefully next year, hopefully 2023.
And they're gonna definitely put a pedestrian bridge across our.
You're so cute.
It's a river trail!
I'm still waiting for the roundabouts on Empire. The kid who goes 90 miles an hour. on his
That came up
motorbike.
again actually this week. I don't know if we had a complaint, but it is on the 6-year transportation improvement plan. But the plan now is to wait till Argonne is done and see how that affects the traffic on Euclid, so,
Are they
or
putting
Empire.
an extra lane, or just?
Yeah, so they're widening it to put in a center turn pockets, yeah.
That is so needed. Oh, yeah. Everyone hates.
Oh, I don't. I go
I
all
know,
the way
exactly.
down.
I can get, it's a Dairy Queen, to Domino, without having to deal with our girls.
All right, excellent contributions. Thank you, Colleen. Any other comments? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. We are adjourned.
Yay.
Well done.
Not
It's been a long
because
day.
Yeah.